Hey everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. For the video blog this week, Melinda, my partner and vice president, recommended talking a little bit about safety challenges with an aging workforce. Now, I remember talking about this 20 to 30 years ago as the baby boomers were kind of transitioning from the workforce into retirement. And now, amazingly, the Gen Xers, which I'm included in that group, are also in kind of in that phase where we're transitioning towards the ends of our careers and into the retirement group instead of the working active working group. And as we look at our jobs and we look at our roles in safety, I think it's really important to pay attention to the fact that we have a rapidly aging workforce. And I know industries like construction, manufacturing, and utilities are seeing a significant amount of their workforce being in that 50 years and older age bracket. So, as we look at that, I think we have to maybe address safety just a little bit differently. There are substantially greater risks in people in my generation, over 50, where musculoskeletal disorders, soft tissue type of injuries are going to be much more likely. If we were to stereotype the kind of the older workforce, and this isn't everybody, but in general, we are not as spry and flexible as the workforce that's half our age. Therefore, we're more likely to experience strains and sprains, and more likely to see little things potentially turn into nagging injuries that can really affect the workplace. So there's some things that we need to look at, some areas we need to focus on, and one might be ergonomics and design of the workplace or the workstation. And I know something that I've seen that's made a really big difference is early in my career, I was a union laborer. And I remember I was pretty green, fresh into the union, kind of working my way through college. And I showed up on a job site, and the superintendent looked at me. This was road work that was going on. And he said, "There's an air compressor. Inside the compressor is a 90-pound jackhammer. See those lines?" And I looked to my left, and as far as I could see down the road, there were two white lines painted on the asphalt. And the job that I had for the next 3 to 4 days straight was to spend 10 hours a day with a 90-pound jackhammer cutting those two lines to basically remove the asphalt so that they could put a trench in to bury a utility. Things have changed today. Now, oftentimes you'll see a wheel loader with a saw on the front of it, and they'll literally drop that blade, that asphalt or concrete blade, and they'll run that line and they'll cut the asphalt. Then the excavator will come in and peel back the asphalt and dig the excavation. Much better use of a human than literally destroying their body. There are a lot of ways we can do things differently. And with an aging workforce, I think we need to be thinking about little things, not just the big things like that, but little things we can do to prevent injury and maybe create a better workplace for the employees themselves. Another thing that we should probably do is assess risks like slips, trips, falls, repetitive motion, like I talked about. Again, we're more prone in our older years to slip and have a soft tissue injury than when we're younger and maybe we're in a little bit better overall physical condition and shape. Something else we should be thinking about is knowledge transfer. I would say that my generation now, again, 50 and over, we have a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge, and we need to figure out, how we can take and transfer that through mentoring and digital documentation so that the younger generation can basically take everything that's in our heads and get it into a system somewhere where it can be used later. I think that's really important to capture as much as we possibly can before, this group, the Gen Xers in this case, and some of the other generations overlapping, are starting to move off into retirement. Something that we can focus on now are health and wellness programs. Really support long-term physical and mental well-being, promote it. I think that this can prolong the number of years that we have in the workforce where we can continue to contribute. things like, flexibility, musculoskeletal strength, endurance, physical health, internal medicine health. All these things are really important. So the more that we promote that wellness, the more we could probably, the greater the length of time we can get out of the workforce that we have that's aging. And then finally, as we look at training, I know that training techniques are changing because different generations want to be trained differently. I know my generation, I love to be in a classroom. I love to see a training program or presentation. PowerPoint was the end all be all, and then go out and do some exercises and activities and actually practice what you're learning. The newer generations like micro learning, they like YouTube videos, maybe virtual reality training. There are a lot of different methods of training online, again, on demand type of training. So it's important that we kind of create inclusive training programs that will kind of account for all the generational learning styles, as well as any physical limitations people may have. So just some considerations. Again, that aging workforce is prominent and prevalent right now, and we need to find a way that, that we can ease them into retirement and take as much learning from them as we can and keep them healthy as long as they're part of our workforce. So hopefully that helps. We'll see you next Wednesday.